This year, the Thompson recreational outing was to Dumfriesshire, Kirkcudbrightshire, in the south of Scotland. And we were there to see some ruins and to play golf. These are, sorry, not some of the ruins, but they could well be. We stayed at the Balcary Visit Jul, which was very nice. Our rooms are in the wing on the right, which you can see. And we had a nice patio overlooking the water. And sometimes the tide was in, and sometimes the tide was out, and away out. To stretch our legs after arriving, we took a walk along the seashore to see what this edifice was all about. A private house, apparently. The hotel from the private house, and lo and behold, there were actually people swimming in the sea. Or the fur.
Just see a lady over there who's
Jump in the
this
line,
water.
rock your body on time. When you jump in the line, rock your body on time. Say jump in the line, rock your body on time.
On the first morning of our tour of ruins, we visited Dunedin Abbey, which was established in 1142, and is famous because Mary Queen of Scots spent her last night in Scotland there. She then, of course, made her way to England and was beheaded on the orders of her sister. The abbey must have been quite chilly, as there was only one fireplace, and there were a number of monks living there at one point. Doesn't tell you how many. He may look like a professor, but in fact he was just a visiting tourist. Gravestones were pretty modern, and there was one to Jane Higgins, who may have been one of Grandma's relatives. That's the village church, which was also old, and a group of tourists relaxing in the sun. Next stop in Kirkcudbright was McClelland's castle, built by Sir Thomas McClelland of Bombay in 1542. The castle was actually a house, and of course it had all the mod cons like kitchens and toilets, although I couldn't quite see how you used them. And then in the big room under the fireplace that you can see on your right was what was called the Laird's Lug, where the Laird could sit and look through this hole and listen to what was being said about him in the big room. The steward's apartment looked down on the front entrance, so he could vet visitors and be sure that they were appropriate. Barton House was the home of E.A. Hornell, who was a famous Scottish painter. I didn't get any of his paintings, but his garden was very pretty. Masses of flower beds and some steps over the water, which Grandma took very nimbly. There were plenty of places to rest, and you can see Andrew and Bridget talking to a man who owned these two lovely dogs. Collie dogs they were. For the fourth event in our busy day, we went on to Threave Estate and Threave Castle, and here we are. It's 800 yards to the castle, and we're walking. Of course, Threave Castle is on an island, so we had to go by boat. And that is a picture of the castle, which looked kind of run down. The river was not that wide, as you can see, but we had to put on life jackets and stand in a queue to get on the boat. So we decided to give it a miss and to go and see the Ospreys instead. At the Osprey lookout was a very interesting lady who explained all about them and how they came back every year. And there in the distance, that black clump is the Osprey nest. There were 3 young in the nest, and they were just learning to fly, but had not yet learned how to eat, so Mom and Dad were flying around and bringing things back. fish and so on for them to eat. Next day, golf at Southern Nest Golf Course, a beautiful course, not too hilly, and lots of gorse, and very fair. And of course the result was even fairer because we were all square, brother and I. And there's his swing, really getting down to it. And there's his caddy, who's not doing a whole lot of work. And there's my caddy, who's really striding out there ahead with find my ball.
No, 10
On to Three Gardens, which we missed out on yesterday. And it was another lovely day. So we were able to see the gardens at their best, and they were really beautiful, and I'll just let you have a look at them without any commentary. I will say you should note this interesting plant that catches the bugs and then they stick to the leaves and die. And these are flowers that we have, or plants that we have in our garden in Nassau, in the greenhouse at Three.
Every dance and every melody acts according to his recipe. Everybody walks to rhythm, everybody talks to rhythm. His rock can do without that rhythm. And bobby-do, bibby-do, bobby-do.
Note the blue water at the bottom of the waterfall. And this is because they add diofix, which stops the algae growing. On the way home we stopped at Lochnaden Castle, which was in a state of disrepair and there was danger of falling masonry. So we didn't see much, but the loch was very beautiful and there was a family living there in tents and fishing. It was the most enjoyable 3 days and look forward to next year.